Hey guys, my name is Skye and this is Toni. We are back talking about the retreat. Hey Toni.
Hello. Just covering the screen behind me.
So we are going to talk about many things today, but the topic is actually light codes and light frequencies. And I'm very excited about this because this is something very exciting about what we do and especially the foods and the energy we surround ourselves with. And I'm going to say it right now and we'll bring it up again that we're getting towards the end of the month and this will be the last chance to get the early bird price for the retreat. So the retreat price will be going up very soon. The retreat's in Phuket with Toni and myself. It is in April. It is 7 days with raw chef Goresh is coming out. We'll be doing workshops. There'll be beach. We'll be getting fruit, playing with the dogs, lots of fun stuff. And at the moment, it's $1,999 US dollars. And that will go up to $2,500 at the start of the next month. So we're just going to keep reminding you guys that this is the last chance if you want to get it at the early bird price. So, yeah.
Jump in while it's that, and then have it as a gift. Ask someone, ask your family, your partner, for a gift for Christmas. It'd be an amazing, beautiful gift to start the year. Because actually, April, I think I may have shared from another time, that New Year is actually April. So who knows what's the official many say it is April, the official New Year, and that's for Thailand. Next April is the 13th, is their New Year. They celebrate on the 13th and the 14th of April. And ours will be the 18th, so it'll be the Thai New Year time.
I love that. I love that. And we are talking about light codes and investing in yourself. That's a high vibrational energy thing to do. The universe rewards us when we make choices based on things like self-love, right? Instead of making choices in self-sabotage and wondering why our life ends up not so great, is you can spend money on yourself, making yourself feel good, learning new tools, new ways to do raw and new people. Like that's what this is about, right? It is a huge part. And I was saying, and I've said it in a couple of lives this week already, how taking time off from social media and not talking to like people like yourself or people I usually talk to online or being in chat. By Sunday, I was out and I felt the pull to be like people around me. Like, why am I not out at restaurants? Why? Like, because I wasn't connected, right? And so this is a huge opportunity for you guys to meet more raw foodists and myself and Toni.
Yeah, like-minded souls coming together. It's going to be so fun. And then this brings us to the, why raw foods or why come to this retreat, but just even day to day, why we want to introduce more raw living foods into our life. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, the light codes and light frequencies. I think that's a really well time to discuss this. I've been having lots of these conversations with my clients recently about the information that's in these foods that can actually either derail us or enhance, amplify our vibration. So these foods are really we're gonna share how they can, and that's what we're gonna talk about today. And then, of course, if you've got any questions for the retreat as well, feel free to ask. And I've had a few questions which we'll share on today's, and I think you have a Skye as well, and we'll do that at the end. We can, the most common questions, such as, should you book here a few days before, come early if you're traveling quite far. There's lots of options that can be, that you can do, and we're going to discuss that. So if anyone's got any questions while we're on the live or for future lives, because the goal is to have these calls every Tuesday. So if you do have any questions for later that you can't think of right now, then do share after the call and we'll note them down and we'll answer them in the following. Or just email as well or speak to us directly on our socials.
Yeah, now this light code, the light coding in food and light information is like, to me, I don't talk about it enough because a lot of the people I talk to, I feel are in a denser reality. I feel like you can get so dense, there's not much light. But what was so apparent when I healed myself was being filled with raw foods and getting outdoors and walking out in spring for the first time with my body full of raw foods, it was like the whole universe was communicating with me in a different way that I had walked past a million times and never seen. From the angles that the light hit the water, and I like to bring up how we are attracted to. It's like the rule of thirds and phi and the golden ratio, and you see like certain patterns in nature on leaves or shells or animals, like that are spiral. What's another good one? I can't even think of it right now. Even when you open fruit, we're very attracted to the dimensions and the mathematics, let's say that, the geometry that's in there. But when I started walking around in spring, all of a sudden it was like the sunlight, when I would turn my head and I'm feeling very healthy, and it was like I could see the dance the sun was doing on the water I was attracted to. I'd never seen it before. I'd just seen the sun's bright, put some sunglasses on. And then like the flowers are blooming and you can see some are blooming more than others. Some are literally like singing in your face. And I would walk around and be in like leave Disneyland, leave any memory of like what would be exciting for a person. This was like, holy cow, has this been here the whole time? And I think it was so impressionable on me because I went from such a dark place and I hadn't communicated with many people, read anything, hadn't been online, hadn't really been stimulated in any way, besides trying to do alcohol or medications or something. And that's very dense. But I ate very fresh food very quickly. So it'd be like just instantaneously doing a juice cleanse. And all of a sudden, it was like light codes everywhere. And I was very aware that I was only privy to seeing this because of the work I was doing on myself, which essentially at that time was more fresh air, grounding in nature, but the raw foods.
Yeah, I think when we're detached, we're just distracted as well. So we don't see everyone's in this survival and feeling like we have no choice, and because we've been suppressed, and there's many other reasons why we detach and disconnect. We all have our wounds and the conditioning. But really, yeah, what it does is what you're sharing is these light codes brings us back to consciousness. It brings us back here and to who we truly are as these magnificent souls. And we start seeing each other as frequency, as energy, rather than these just humans wandering around crazily, So when you really take care and nourish the body, especially with these high frequency foods, you really do become, they say like the monk, you don't have to live on the hill, but you can become present like the monk and appreciate the smallest, tiniest things. And these chasing and always doing and always getting it is becoming exhausting. And what I have seen a shift in a lot of my clients is they're exhausted, but they don't understand why. And they're starting to now see, okay, it's because we've got these denser foods within the body. It's not just our environment, what we do and work, but it's a combination of things. And that's why we've called it the light codes and light frequencies, because it's about the sunlight, it's about the foods. All of these really nourish not just the body, but the soul. And when we start to open up, like you say, sometimes when we have got these addictions or these denser foods within the body, we don't actually realize that these are causing the filter, a different lens compared to somebody that is doing the deep work, the eating, the cleanses, removing these heavier, denser foods. And it's a beautiful experience, and we don't have to go all in, straight away. We can do cleanses and we can do deep healing with these. This is amazing. That was what, I'm glad you brought this up actually. But we don't have to go to those extents to bring this lightness, this consciousness within us. But I do feel when people say that food is not that important, it's all about your mindset, your frequency of just what you how you act every day. It's not. It's the food really really is who we are, you know. Wasn't it? Who was that? There was a really an English lady. She was called Gillian, not Gillian Berry. She's American, Canadian. But there was a lady, Gillian. She went big on, and she was talking about raw foods, and you are what you eat. I remember that. Wow, yeah, we are what we eat. We really are. Everything is built up from what we put into our mouth, what we absorb, and what we absorb is, yeah, like we're sharing the sunlight. Fasting, meditation, as you can see on the screen, clean air, being in nature, and trying our best to get these every day as much as we can. I know sometimes it's difficult in those colder climates where it's cloudy, like England. We get many, many months of no sun. But if we can try and get some sun, even for a few minutes a day, we'll shift our frequency. But we can really take a lot of that in through the foods. We can really help ourselves through the foods.
We definitely can. It's when people it's I don't like to like butt heads or argue with people who are in like denser, eating a lot of dense food, processed food, alcohol, medications, because it's like talking Chinese to a German. They can't understand what you're saying. You have to experience it, right? And you get what I remember about being in that denser reality. I was that person eating processed foods, had addictions, medications, smoking, all sorts of things. Is your whole consciousness gets hyper focused and hyper stimulated in like dead reality, which is like processed lights, you know, and that this person will fix you, this 10-day course will fix you, and you need this mindset guru that'll retrain your mind. The thing about the mind is the mind can more easily talk you out of something than into something. And the only way my mind has been able to like regenerate and actually see forward has been when I started putting light codes, light frequencies in my body. If I eat too dense, like too many nuts and seeds and too much dehydrated food or tamaris or apple cider vinegars, is before I know it is I'm basically in my own headspace. I don't want to go outside. I've got symptoms coming back, but I never foresaw it coming. Like it creeps back in slowly. And then as I put packages of light or information for my DNA back into my body, and then I connect myself outside to sunlight, it does something nothing on this planet. And I've been on a hell of a lot of medications and drugs and, you know, been in horrid situations. It's like you can't explain it. And I would imagine that it's different for each person what they experience. Enlightenment and your way is your path, and we're here because we want you to experience it. And I always say to people is I'm not someone who's like you've got to just get on like watery fruits and you've got to just stay there, right? But isn't it a gift to yourself in this lifetime, if you know about it, to try it, like to level up at your own pace and feel what that feels like, and then make the decision, do I want to go back to denser reality? Because I think, fair call, if you want to go back, it's your choice. But like once you know and that gate opens, like all these little keys that you eat and you get to experience this entire new reality that's your space.
Yeah, you can't unsee what you've seen. It's like
Yep.
when I saw a lot of the documentaries on the animal cruelty, it stays with you. And it's the same with the food. No matter if you keep, going back and forth, I think you become the more aware and the more you're on this path, it's inevitable. This is what's going to happen. I think if I look at my timeline, I've gone from binge eating heavy, dense, processed junk food for most of my life. I lived on God bless my parents, they lived on microwavable meals all the time, most of the time. And it was chicken nuggets and chips, fries. Uh,
Wow.
and then I was a big sweet, like my dad worked at a cake factory and he'd bring home big chunks of cakes. And I used to suppress and numb with, at first, I didn't know I was doing that. Obviously, as you move through your life, and sometimes just that's what you've been exposed to. So for me to come from that to this lifestyle has been a transition, but it's just something I've naturally become as I've become more on the the spiritual path and just more wanting to heal and just feel good. And actually thoughts, because thoughts, when I think about my thoughts, are much lighter and kinder to myself and others than what they used to be. And I used to be stressed all the time. I used to be angry and jealous. And these are lower frequencies. I'm not saying that they're wrong. They're just feedback. It's just a feedback to how you, but that feedback was all the time. It was always angry. Whereas now, in a comparison to where I am now, I am much more calmer, much more kinder. And yeah, when you look at that, this is where I know this is the path. This is why I wanted to look more into these foods, how magic these foods are, and how they can really lift us if you're suffering from anxiety and depression, how they can really harmonize, your body, your hormones. And sometimes, like you said, you'd have to stick to one thing in one area, but you can start exploring a lot of them. Once you open that up, we start seeing what is available to us, what is these foods, how abundant they are. At first you feel restricted, you feel, what can I eat then? Do you know, it's interesting when some people say, well, what do you eat? I remember when I went vegan, everyone's like, well, what do you eat then? And now it's so common, but the raw, it's like, well, what do you eat? And I'm like, I eat a lot of foods. There's a lot of options there, and we don't realize. It's so interesting to see so many fixed mindsets. I didn't realize this until you start shifting to different ways, ways, lifestyles. And it's not until you go traveling or you're curious, you have an open mind, you start seeing there's not just one way to live or be. And it's exciting, it can be empowering for us, because it's like, if that's not working for you, if you're struggling, if you're waking up exhausted all the time, you're not happy, you're miserable, you've got these anxiety coming up, this doesn't have to be your reality. There's so many different, and we've shared about timelines before. We can step into that. And our foods, because if you think it's what we do every single day. When we do something every single day, like eating, I mean, fasting, of course, is great, but generally overall, we're consuming food. So let that food be supportive for your goals, your journey of where you're going, and explore these beautiful foods that can really change your whole body, makeup, everything, and yeah, it's one of those that it's so much to unpack, but in the simplicity of it is so simple. It's so simple that we can just start coming more towards the lighter, the more freak. So these foods such as fruits and vegetables, that's what we're talking about with someone who's not sure, like green leaves, salads. But it doesn't have to be boring. We can be really creative. And I remember back when you think back in England, I used to be like, salad, apples, oranges, that was it. It was not the abundance that we see now of what we can create. And that's what Skye shows a lot on your Instagram, and Garesh is showing all the abundance and ways coming over. That's why we want to do the retreat, to show you these abundance of these light codes in these foods that you can really enjoy and feel satiated, feel full.
Yeah, what blows my mind so much is, of course, I've had lots of cooked vegetables, legumes, chickpeas, things like tofu. But to me, in my experience, is raw food is like light codes. It's completely different. And the amount of light codes that I'd had up until being raw was very minimal. It's not like I was even somebody who was like, summer came and I would snack on fruit between meals. Even when I was vegan, that wasn't a huge thing. Maybe a mango here or there, maybe, like, everything was cooked. And how I felt when I was going raw, and every time I'd have cooked food again, it's like being beyond a completely different person. I like to say it's like being in a different reality. So that blows my mind. But it's, once again, it's very hard to explain to people. And most of the stories I hear are accidental raw stories, kind of like mine, where I was talking to a woman in New York, and I was like, how did you find raw veganism? She's like, I went to this restaurant, didn't know it was raw. And then afterwards, me and my friend didn't want to get a taxi home. We were like, let's enjoy the night. She goes, usually we'd roll out, feel sick. We didn't know that all the food we'd eaten was raw. And it's kind of like me, is when I filled my body with raw, I could get up and do something. As soon as I put anything, even just dry roasted or steamed, just lightly steamed, in my body, couldn't get up. Like, I really don't think many people, unless you're relatively raw, eat a lot of fresh food, really understand um, just the difference it can make in your life. And that's why I think, coming from a mindset, especially if you're eating a lot of density, where it's like, what do I eat? Apple and banana and some green leaves. Like, I won't survive. People think they won't survive, right? And that's why retreats like this are amazing, because you'll get to see abundance. Yes, you have to like learn to connect to people and be around people, and you get to go home and make your own recipes. But to experience it, I think, is a beautiful thing, because I actually get lost for words. I don't think there's ways to describe to people who are having a very dense diet what um, the reality I live in is like now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those, yeah, I feel you can, because it can happen instantly for some people, but some it can take some time because they have these attachments to these. But when we start understanding the psychology behind it, and also the physiological, I do discuss this a lot, because people come to me for different reasons. They want to remove
Sure.
these attachments, these addictions, but some just want to feel like lighter and better. But everyone has a different experience. So I think when you start to delve into this path, the path shows, once the student's ready, the teachers appear, the content appears, and it
True.
starts becoming, wow, this is it's a new way. It's a beautiful way. And it doesn't have to be all overnight, but you will start seeing shifts. And that's why I feel so many people are on this path, and now becoming more aware, especially how they're contaminating our foods now and not trusting a lot of, especially the packaged foods. We could go all day on just that itself and what's in these foods. It's scary, but if we can go to more whole and natural, we don't need to worry and concern ourselves about all that. This makes it so much easier and simpler.
100%. And that's what you want. You want it to feel easy and simple at the same time. I think and this is why I do recipes and I get so excited about things, because I believe that energy is better spent falling in love with something than consistently judging yourself for doing something wrong. So I see in the community a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to perfect what they're doing, and you will end up talking yourself out of it, because you just be like, there's always that perfectionism and it's just too restricting. But if you can fall in love with something, you spend all that energy constantly, day after day. It's like falling in love with yourself over and over again. And it's such a gift.
Yeah, it's like what we said last time. It's like, how can we nourish, very similar on the lines, like, how can we nourish our body? How can we love? What's love to you? What is, and when we really connect and really align, the answers just become effortless and natural. And that's where you're more guided towards these foods. That's what we were sharing earlier. Like, it really does bring you back to your truth, your who you are, and this alignment. So, you know, all these foods carry a frequency, like we were sharing the information. So when we really tap into that, then, you're getting all the, not just the structured water, which is what our body, our cells thrive on, but you got the biophotons, you've got all of those that's coming in, the enzymes, all the nutrients. So it's yeah, food from the sun. It's what we are designed really to eat as a species, and to thrive. And there is so much conflicting information out there, and I get it. It's all designed, and when you've done a lot of studying and when you've done research papers, I've been to university, I know what can be manipulated and changed for their own agenda. I've seen it. Just go with what nature is designed for us to eat, as much as we can, and that's what keeps it less overwhelming for anybody starting this path or just curious, is just really bring it back to simplicity and basics. Like the less manipulated, the better. That's just the non-negotiables I go with as much as I can each day. My foundations of how I choose food.
Yeah. Also, just on that structured water, for anybody that's listening, that is the H3O2 instead of instead of H2O. But
Yeah.
there's actually it's hard to find information and studies on it because a lot of people want studies, right? That it's we say it's good for us, but there is a website full of astrophysicists and engineers called Electric Universe, and I love it because when you get into this, you start to feel and know that everything is not physics, it's not biology, it's not chemistry, it's not biochem, it's all of them, and it's electricity. And I watched this documentary on the properties of this structured water and how it's not hydrophilic in the same way on the surface area as normal H2O water, where things like the water is very consistent. Like it's very kind of erratic but consistent. As in, like if you zoned in on all the compounds that are in there, they're kind of in this like scattered, and then it becomes like hydrophilic at the surface, where you get this like a cap. You know how you get the ocean, like the top, there's actually like a membrane at the top. Well, in hydrophilic water, it actually almost has memory, and it'll go into certain structures in structured ways, like a gel. And there's actually this like, it's almost like a design, like an intelligent design. And that's what fruit's made from, this structured water, this H3O2. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like it's amazing, and I just think it's when you have to combine like physics, biochem, chem, biology all into one. People's brains aren't trained that way. People's brains are trained to go to university, and then once you become, in my case, like I was studying psychology, is are you a clinical psychologist, a forensic, a psychologist? Are you like you were supposed to dive deeper, like splice off further. But if you can actually imagine that the light code type principle is that it's all of it in some sort of synchronistic dance that maybe we were not privy, or we were not supposed to always know. We were not supposed to keep splicing and splicing and splicing and splicing and splicing and then wonder why the human race ended up in trouble. And the whole premise of this is to pull back, to pull back, to pull back, and be as simple and whole as possible. And with that is, I think, and what you need to always, I believe so strongly, to have a whole heart is, even when you're in the midst of this, is have an open heart, an open mind, because you don't want to be someone who feels they've got their diet perfect and they're eating just greens and fruit, but you sit there judging everybody else. It's a whole package. You're the whole package, and you want to then spread love, because essentially that's why we're doing it, right? We're eating the food because we love ourselves. We want to experience things and spread love. It's all love. That's the light code. That's
Yeah.
the answer to the light code, what I believe anyway.
Yeah, I definitely feel there's a lot of backing towards these anyways. Even they've done many tests on like water, structured water, and how even in certain environments how things can be manipulated. But you've got a great chance of really lifting just your energy, your spirits by eating whole, undenatured foods. Undenatured, it just means we haven't stripped all of the nutrients and enzymes through cooking. And some people say, oh, it might amplify nutrients, but then I doubt it. Then I think, well, is that what we're supposed to eat then? I think there'd be a place for some things, but for majority of the way I want to live and simplify my life is go as whole and as untouched as I possibly can. This has been a journey, and I don't feel everybody is, they're all at different levels, or I call it like the web. They're all in different places on the web. And it's, yeah, like you shared about the experimentation and experiment, see what feels good at that time. And as you go down this path, and explore. You may feel called to try and experiment with something else. Like I've done the whole fruit. We've shared before where, we've done a lot of the cleanses. We've done a lot of high fat, low fat, high carb. So it's really dependent on where you feel called to. And this retreat really is just a taster of what you can explore down this path. It's a really not just based on the food, but it's based on the connections. Everything that we're talking about in today's is the light frequencies, these light codes, where you've got the sun. You're going to have the sun all the time, which is great. You're going to have the surroundings to support this new journey that potentially you're going to be on, or what you're moving towards, or you're already in and you want to amplify. What at any stage you're at, a newbie, totally not even like we shared last time, was you don't even have to be a raw vegan, even vegan, but to explore, be open-minded, to try something different and be with others that are genuinely kind and that care. That's why we're doing these calls, because we want to show you what we truly are like and how we navigate our ups and downs and what we've experienced. And it's like no BS. It's all very open. And if you ever feel called to ask questions, this is sharing who we are and who you're going to be spending time with. We care about others, we care about ourselves, and we want to grow, we want to evolve. My work with the dogs, if you love animals, then you're going to see a lot of my work, and I'll be starting to share more as well. Maybe I could do some little videos of you showing you what my day-to-day is like with the dogs, the dog work. And if you ever want to get involved with any of that, I can share advice. So really, we're here to just really feel our best so that others can show others how you can feel. Skye's come from such a lot of darkness, as we all, but you have really gone through the physical, the emotion, everything in such a short space of time. And your life was, and when you've come from that and you've seen that dark time, that of not being able to just support yourself and being bedridden. For me, that's so inspiring, that how you can now just share your story in such a positive light and be real. And I've seen you do so many lives, Skye. It's great. You're just on fire with these lives and just sharing your life. And people want to see this, especially now with AI, all this fake stuff going around. I think if we can continue, I think you've really inspired me to do more. I want to do some lives. Because it just shows that realness of who we are and this connection. And like Skye shared about, some people just want to come on because they just want to be around with the like-minded people. So just come onto these calls. And if you ever feel like you just want any support, you can ask the questions, utilize this as a Q&A as well. We're not here just to talk all the way through it, but we want to support others. And if you have anything that you want to get off your chest, if you want to ask any questions about the retreat or anything else, this is what we're here for.
Yeah. Oh, that was so nice. It actually brings up how, like, a lot of people say to me, oh, how did you get through all of that? The one thing that, like, really stood true to me, and I've met some very, very sick people. I've watched people pass. Because I've been in a lot of hospitals, and it's why people live as long as they believe they do, even if they're going through a lot. And that is human spirit. Like, in all of us is this light to kind of like pull us along, even when we don't believe anymore. No matter how sick somebody is, you'll see people near death who still have this sense of humor, have some light. But when you can experience amplifying that light and feeding that light, it's a whole nother level. It's like stepping across a threshold into this world I never knew possible. And then, like at the retreat, when you get to have like fresh food with like-minded people, you're doing sound healing, you're swimming, and it's just, I think it'll just be amplified because of the sun, like because of where we're going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it would just, I think everybody on this planet deserves to know what that feels like. And that doesn't mean that people have to stay doing that. but to experience like that true light being pulled in the direction it's probably always wanted to go, because we can feel very lost. And you were saying earlier about how, like I was saying earlier about, and we were saying about the abundance of food, and how a lot of the way I used to eat and thinking, there'd only be lettuce and apples and stuff, was because I think food used to make me feel so bad and I wasn't conscious of it, that if anything half worked for me, like avocado, tomato on toast, that was a staple. So when somebody would say, like, now we're taking away, like, well, a lot of that is still, I guess, an aspect of what I eat, but besides the bread, but like, or like a certain pasta dish that I could get down and not feel sick. It's kind of, we cling to these things because there's only like a small aspect that, like, it doesn't make us feel sick. And then you come here and you're like, I can have everything and I feel good. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. That's what excites me. That's why I love to get on and do like the lives and share, because like how I am on camera is pretty much how I am most days. If you see me in my kitchen and I'm talking to you guys, like I'm pretty much like this happy. And a huge, like, for me, the first step is that fresh food, the grounding, the sunlight, the self-love, being around beautiful people. But for me, it's still the food. So that's why I love to share so much of the food, because I want to inspire people to include more.
Well, these are the foundations. These are what's going to help us. Like we talked about on that last call, is there's rituals. These are the rituals we can bring in that will help us and support us on this path, because it's not just, it is a big part, the food, but it is all these other elements that we have shared about the meditation, the sun, being around beautiful souls, having the structured water. It's not just about H2O. We're having those, within the foods that have got high water content. Enrich your body with these beautiful, as we keep sharing, these light codes. I do want to add something I did put in my before we go into, because I want to go through some Q&A
Yes.
and that we've had. But nuts and seeds, I don't want to I think nuts and seeds have a huge place, even in all parts of this lifestyle, but especially in the early days. There was a part of me that just wanted that dense, heavy, especially when in colder climates, I wanted the nuts and the seeds. And I do go through periods where I increase it, but they, if you feel like sometimes you need that heavier, aspect, and for grounding as well initially,
Yeah.
there's other ways to ground, but I do feel it's a quick fix, but it doesn't have to be all the time. And I think once you become more conscious to see how these feel in the body, I go through periods where I have a lot.
Yeah. So with nuts and seeds, how I feel about them is the way that fruit is these days is not the same as it was even 100 years ago. 100 years ago, bananas were full of seeds, right? So just say somebody gave me 10, and they were small, little thin ones, you were to eat 10 bananas, right? Is even if you're trying to get the flesh off, you'd be naturally biting into the mineral. You'd be spitting some out, some would be passing through, but you'd be getting a constant flow of minerals and amino acids and fats from the seeds as you ate the fruit. It'd be more consistent. These days, a lot of the seeds are gone. The fruit is a lot sweeter. And so, and we're also processing nuts, so we're getting an ability to get a lot more all at once. So there can be problems when you have like watermelon and you have handfuls of walnuts, right? That's not the way to go. But I like to think back to a principle that it makes common sense that only, not even that people were more inclined to eat fruits back then, especially just pick them off a tree. You'd be crunching on some, not by choice, by accident, more often. So if you're only having very sweet fruit for a period, you're going to end up with a deficiency. If we have even crossbred, which I'm not saying it's all GMO, but even crossbred certain seeds or ways of doing, is the body will find a way back to balance. And so don't be so scared of that. Just it's like, it's all about feeling what's right for your body, because at different times, like I can do more seeds and then my body says, stop, just do fruit for a little bit, or more greens or lower fat or high fat. And I'm in a place now where, because I get asked all the time, like, how do I eat? Like, who do I follow? Is it 80-10-10? Is it high fat? Is it Dr. Brooke Goldner? And the best thing is I follow all. And so whatever my body wants at a certain time, I'm not scared to do.
Yeah. And I think if you aren't so dogmatic, because I used to be, and I think we've talked about this, we've fallen into that. And it's okay to be, but then just accept and don't guilt and shame yourself when you want to shift and when you want to try. And don't let anyone else um, no one can make you feel that way, but they can't. It doesn't help when someone's really like, this is so wrong, and they're not so very kind. Because I know we have seen that in the movement, in this space, but that's for all spaces. You're going to get conflicts everywhere, but that happens. But I think once you're on your own path and you open up to other possibilities, don't get so fixated. I feel you're going to be naturally guided to your own truth, and that's what we really want people to focus on as the most. It's a given. When I think you're kinder to yourself, you're going to be guided with your own GPS. It's a given when you're on your own path.
That's essentially the self-love, right? Is people are coming at you, there's media information, there's raw vegan community information, and you've gone, no, today a green juice is what I need. You've chosen you above all else, and that's hard in this day and age.
Come here. He's one of my new dogs, so no.
Oh, maybe he's a show dog. She or he's a show dog. They want to be on the podcast.
Stay there. What you doing? You stay. Yeah, it's one of those. I feel you've just thrown me off, you, mister. I'll show you. Hey, come here. Oh, it's not going to me. I'll leave him. You want to come up or not? No. Sometimes hungry. Yeah, there are periods of this where it feels more intense. This is why you have to be
hungry. Someone's hungry. I don't know if sometimes
hungry. Someone's hungry. Sometimes hungry.
But no, that's a good thing to talk on. This is especially at the start.
It's a big one.
It's huge. And even if you've fallen off, it's something that you'll have to deal with again. In fact, I feel like, what am I? I'm almost 5 years now. That has only just settled. Like how deep that goes to feel satiated and density. Like, of course, I've done lighter versions, but then I will like scurry back to like going through a period of needing like density. But just, I guess why I'm talking on it is at the start, I was very real with the fact that I needed to stay raw to stay well, and facing all my demons. So I knew that there's no point me laying in bed feeling hungry. I need to, because I didn't even know rule combining and all of that back then, but I knew my downfall would be to feel empty, because I would go off and I had so many addictions and I had to stay raw. So I would just get up and I'd be like, I'm craving Thai noodles. So I would make carrot noodles from like a vegetable. I only had a vegetable peeler and a knife. Vegetable peeler, put some soy sauce, a handful of cashews, maybe a bit of herbs. Is that like an ideal raw meal? Like at the time I knew it wasn't, but that wasn't my purpose at the time. My purpose was not to go and eat something which would send me back. Most of the time I ate quite light, but when cravings came up, I make like little craving busting bowls, like that just would to mimic something. So I didn't, because I would stay well doing that. So it's like I've really faced like what I was willing to just find that I had to like face things step at a time. Because, and like some nights I'd just be like, I need 2 avocados to like feel like full. And I'd be like, right, but I'm not sick. And I'm like, and I'd say I'm still raw, but that wasn't the point. The point was to be well. And so it's like, where are you able to sit? Because a lot of people can't go and you say, as you transition, have some sweet potato, because they do feel terrible. A lot of people, once they experience raw, they're just like, I can't. So it's about finding ways, because over time you will get better at it. Like you will get better. You just got to keep showing up.
Yeah, and yeah, don't feel guilty. I have still periods where I have no guilt now. If I want 3, 4, even 5 avocados, I feel a little full and a bit stuck. I have it. Yeah, I'm not. But I am more conscious of it now, in the sense of why I'm doing it. How is it making me feel? what is my reason for that? What else can I eat? But I think when you've cleaned the channels, you don't necessarily get that really hangry feeling. Yes, fasting, absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to say on this, so it's like, I mean, that wasn't even an option for me where I am, but it's like when you ask somebody, this is what I find I have with clients a lot. People come to me and they're like, I want to do fruit. I'm only going to eat from 11 till 4, and I might fast 1 day a week. And every second week I see them, they've eaten food, which is like way back. Like I'm talking about just gone all out. I have not seen a situation when someone is transitioning where they are better off if they're to just learn the ropes. There's plenty of time for, unless you are very sick and you need to stop your gut from moving, or you need to flush it out with, some sort of like IBS or gut issue. If you have the luxury of learning to, because there's no point keep on pushing through every night, and then these people I consistently see, like I'm not talking about just vegan takeaway, I'm talking about like a whole week of just things like, and so that's why I really encourage people to like be so for real with where you're at. Like if you don't eat a little thing, I mean, I don't know whether it was 10 o'clock at night, but at like 8:30 at night or 9 o'clock at night, some dates with cashews when you're first starting, like whatever, or even when you get your cycle, right, is what is the ramification if I don't follow it? And if you've been doing this a while, for sure, it's probably not going to phase you. It's just like a come through. But if you're transitioning, make your goals real. You can always get to doing like high fruits and juices, but earn the right to be there. Because all I do is see when people like show up, they're like, I'm just going to do this and this will fix me really quickly. There's so much more to that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Depending on where you're at, if it feels like it's too rigid, you're trying to do the 1 day fasting, the intermittent fasting. I mean, I actually started out first with the intermittent fasting before even going raw, and I now incorporate it. But there'll be periods, a few days out the month, I don't. I just listen to my body, but it's a very rare. It's not like I'm just rigid, it's just a natural thing for me. I tend not to eat when the sun's down, when it's dark, basically. I only eat when the daytime. So it's just a natural thing for me. I don't, if I got too fixated on it, I would lighten it off, So it's just part of where you're at in your journey.
Yeah. Ginger, 1 meal a day between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. Breakfast, herbal, made-up drink every morning. That's amazing that you do that, but I have not seen anybody come to me from all their addictions and everything they're trying to heal on medications, and they're like, have been able to achieve that and not go back as well. So I have seen people for months do just a juice for months, and then there's like this swing back, and that may not be you, but what I'm prefacing here is you've got to be so for real, because there's no point trying to do 1 meal a day.
I did that for 6 months, and I did, like, I think it can have a place in your healing and a journey, but if it's working for you, do it, But I find most women, they struggle long term on 1 meal, and I wouldn't recommend it personally, but I think it has a place in the journey somewhere. But
I agree.
I don't have that for sustainability. Yeah, you've got to check these things, because if you go full back, then it's not serving you. So just look at where you want to, where you're heading towards, and it doesn't have to be overnight. This is not forever. You can gradually baby steps, baby steps.
Okay, so do you want to do
yes
questions?
Yeah, so I do get commonly asked, and I think I'll put it on the site, on the retreat page. It's just about when you're traveling from a fair distance away. Do you want to, I do ask, is it best to come a day earlier and stay a few days? So it's in the Rawai, the south of Phuket. So it's completely up to you. If you are coming from a fair distance, I mean, you could even do a stopover in Singapore, depending on where you are in the world. Many people stop over in Singapore or Kuala Lumpur and do a night or two there. Same with going back. It's really, it's what you prefer for me. Yeah, I'm one of those now. I do like to take my time traveling. I always used to be, I just want to get there, and that's good. And I think it can help. But depending on if you've got like a transition flights, if you're looking at flights where they stop, maybe go and explore that place. You know, like when I went to LA last year, I wish I'd have done, no, to Mexico. I landed in Istanbul, and I wish I'd spent a few days in Istanbul instead of I just did a 16-hour in the flight airport. I stayed in the hotel. I did have a dog with me, so it was a little bit more tricky. But coming back, I could have done that. So yeah, it can stay close by to the Rawai is quite small, so you're not going to be far. So you could even stay at different parts of Phuket. You know, if you've got, I don't know how much time you've got to play with. If you've got a few days either side for when you come to the retreat, then yeah, go and stay in different areas of Phuket. If your flight's coming in, obviously we check in at the normal time as everywhere else, which is 3 o'clock. So it would start there, and checkout is at the 12. So get your flights later in the day. You know, it doesn't have to be on that day, but later in the day if you wish.
So I'm just putting that for anyone who wants to see. I didn't know how this worked. So if anyone wants to watch a full page view, apparently you click on notifications, because everybody might be getting this as in, I didn't know how it was going to work, but I do know, just as Yellow Summer said, that the reason I'm having it in both views, I'm actually filming in both views right now, is because the algorithm will send it out to more people. So we get more people knowing about raw foods. But yeah, so anyone watching it on the small screen, like the phone, the lengthways, if apparently you click on notifications, or essentially you can go to my live area, and there should be 2 videos running at the same time, and one of them will be horizontal, if anyone wants to see
so when it's horizontal, then is it just one of us showing?
It's like me on top and you at the bottom.
Okay.
It's like a phone, like the phone, you're on the top. And then if you want to see, if you're watching it on a big screen, you want to see, and anybody watching the playback, that's there as well. I might preface that at the start of these. And I would love to just do one, but YouTube just does not send out the horizontals. It only sends out, it's only if somebody came on and they're like, Skye's on or Tony's on, they'll jump on. YouTube will send out the phone view.
Oh, okay.
That's all it really sends out.
Yeah.
So
it's all new to me.
I don't think, sorry. There's conversation going on there. Do you want to finish? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just trying to
No, it's good to know this, because Yellow Summer also shared something about not notifications. Go through your channel.
Yeah, so on my channel, there'll be in the live section, there's a whole section of videos. There'll be 2 videos running now anytime I do a live. There'll be the horizontal and the vertical.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yellow Summer. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, preface that at the beginning, and then also about but lost. What is that? Is it they've lost 30 kilograms in 8 months?
But I don't know if that person's raw.
Oh, okay.
So they haven't prefaced. So I don't know if this person's having 1 raw meal a day.
Okay, but they'll still see great. Whatever. I was high raw for a long time. I saw great for 6 years. I did like 50 to 70% raw for 6 years before going fully raw. So my journey for some people was exceptionally slow. Or would you call that slow? I just enjoyed what worked for me at the time.
Yes. So and I think you have to do, that's the whole thing is also with me, Tony. So although I went raw instantly when I knew it, is I went paleo, and that was huge. As in, when I think of my paleo journey, I think of cutting out processed food. I didn't eat a lot of meat. I wasn't like a huge meat eater, but there would be like 1 meat dish a night at that stage. But a huge part of that chunk was getting rid of anything processed. Then I got very sick again. I went vegan. There was some junk food vegan, but a lot of it was just hospital vegan food, which is not great, but there's not processed food in it, as in it's just blended vegetables and powdered mashed potatoes. So, and then I went whole food vegan and whole food plant-based. And that was like from 2000 18 up until 21 was when I went. So I was like 3 years. But that was,
Yeah.
I feel like what was huge for me was letting go of processed foods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That was, yeah, definitely a game changer. If anyone just comes away from all of that, yeah.
like it's just the way chemicals really change perception. I think that's how I knew animals were not meant for me. I think I had to pull back all the chemicals and packages of food, and then you're really sitting with it, right? It's like nuts, seeds, fruit, vegetables, and meat, and something was just not right. And that's when I decided, when I had been quite sick, that I didn't want to eat anything with a face. That's how it came about. I learned more about veganism as I became one, but it was like, how had I ever eaten anything as a baby? I think I needed, that's how I got there. So we all get there in a different way.
Different. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, cutting out a lot of meat. So this person's not raw. So I
Yeah.
think that's a very dense meal like if I think, sorry, excuse me, if I had one cooked meal, I think it would take me 2 days to digest.
Yeah, you become more sensitive. It has pros and cons, but good because it's what our body is. It just shows you what your body can tolerate, which is always a good thing. But obviously, serves is for the transition. Yeah, especially what
Yeah.
you've been through because you've got no stomach. So for those that are
Yes.
new on here, you might not know. Skye. Oh gosh, well, I've got something going on in the background now. Let me turn this off.
Sure. We love you too, Yellow Summer. We love you
Thank you
too.
so much. And oh, someone's Matt from the UK.
Oh, if you're in the UK, in a couple hours' time, I'm doing a UK raw vegan party online as well, which I'm hoping Toni will join for at least some of.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's coming up too.
you've got lots going on. So look at all of these lives that Skye's doing. So, oh, Cardiff. Yeah.
Okay. So you answered the question about coming a bit
Yeah.
earlier,
And
especially for people who are a long way away.
yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, just break it up if you wish. Come direct. I personally would break it up if you are coming from a fair distance. Go and enjoy other places if you can. But it's not. You're going to have a lot of rest, rejuvenation. So if you are going to be jet lagged, we're gonna show you. We could even talk about this on one of the lives another time. Skye, is how to overcome jet lag if it comes here or when you get back or both. There's many things we can do to really support us through jet lag, and it'll pretty much go. And I think you'll be too excited when you come. You'll be refreshed straight away as soon as you feel that sun on your skin, the fresh air, all the fruit, the abundance of these raw vegan foods. Meeting us, I think
I was
you'll
about to
be
say, meeting us will be enough to just blow that that jet lag
the rest
straight
of
out of
it.
the water.
Yeah. You'll be in great spirits and you'll be like, what jet lag? What jet lag?
Yeah.
Never had any. What was other questions that you had, Skye?
I've had just questions about the food. People are asking, is there going to be seeds? Is there nuts? What if I want less nuts? What if I want more seeds? And I mean, you can answer if you want, but there's going to be abundance of choice there, you know. So there's fruits, there's going to be made dishes which are going to have nuts and seeds, not all of them. But do you want to talk more on? You just have what suits your body.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of choices, a lot of options in the sense of it'll bring out in like a buffet type of style on our table. So I generally like to start with the lighter foods in the earlier in the day, so it'll be lots more fruits, but there will be some sauces and dips and things that you can experiment with, but more lighter and a little bit denser as we go through the day. But there's going to be various, we're going to get workshops. Talk about food combining and things like that, but really it's just an experience to come with an open mind. But we're not here to focus on healing a specific. It's more about just an introduction to raw living foods and raising our frequency. So really the food's about just exploring these amazing foods that you can have as raw as you can be. You're going to be fully raw with lots of options.
Yes, and I want to also say the last chance is coming up to get the retreat at the early bird price. The price will go up once December starts. So it's your last chance to get it at $1,999 for 7 days with us, all meals included, accommodation. There'll be workshops, there'll be beach time, there'll also be going out into getting fruit.
Yeah, got some durian. There'll be acro yoga, live music. Yeah, lots to experience. Okay, any questions before we leave? It's on the hour. All good? All right, Skye.
All
Well,
right.
thank you so much. And thank you
Thank
all for coming
you.
on.
All right. And we'll see you soon. Well, I'll be back soon with a party.
Yay!
All right. Bye.